Ben from Snow is here, folks, at the Brownhill Creek Tourist Park on a beautiful sunny day. I'm showing you how to set up the Oztent SV-5 Max touring tent. Hit it. Now the SV-5 Max sets up in the same manner as the RV tents we've known in the past, but it's got a slightly modified frame design and it comes packaged with extra poles and accessories to really expand the livability of the tent. Now this is the SV-5 Max from Oztent when it's packed up, about 200 or just under 210 centimeters in length and about 30 to 40 centimeters in diameter, depending on how tightly you package it or roll it up. And it weighs about 32.5 kilos, so it's by no means a small unit. You're going to need a trailer or a roof rack to transport it. But to offset the weight and the size of the unit, you've got a really easy to set up tent, and it's also really sturdy once it's set up in full. I'll show you what comes in the bag, but before I go any further, I just want to mention that you do get this rain cover that goes over the top of the bag here. It's just a lightweight polyester material with an elastic on the back, a bit like a backpack cover. And this just goes over the top of the bag like this, while it's on top of your roof rack, and just adds a little bit of extra water protection for stop the water getting in through the zips and through the seams. The fabric itself on the bag is already reasonably waterproof. I'll pull everything out of the bag and show you what comes included with the SV-5 Max kit. Okay, this is everything inside the bag. So this back here is the main portion of the tent. This is the tent skin and the frame all in one. You get a fly sheet included with this, with the SV-5 Max tent. This is to sit over the top of the back of the tent. It helps with condensation, also helps reduce the heat inside the tent. You get a zip-in tarp extension that goes on the front of the existing awning of the tent. You don't have to use this, but it does extend the undercover space. You get all of these poles included. So we've got two 2.3 meter awning poles, two 1.9 meter awning poles, and two 3.5 meter ridge poles to create a peaked awning for the awning that's attached to the tent. You then get two of these thin poles here, which just go underneath the fly to separate it from the tent, and three 2.3 meter tarp pole extensions to be able to set up the tarp extension on the front of the tent as a peak as well. And then you get a bag of pegs, and as always with Oztent, you get good quality pegs. They're nice heavy duty pegs. You get an instruction manual with some little bits of repair fabric in there. You also get extra guy ropes, and somewhere in here there is a little bag of these little caps that go over the top of the spigots on the awning just to give a bit of extra water protection. That'll make a bit more sense later on. Make sure you don't lose them. Now, to get started with setup, what I need to do first is put the poles and the accessories aside, and we can spread this in a bit out. Now the SV-5 comes secured, as all Oztents do, with a strap around here just to keep it all secure. We fold this flap of fabric out, and then we can start to pull these arms right out in front here. These are labeled A and B. B gets folded in second, so it gets folded out first. And what we first notice here is a difference between this and the traditional RV tents is that this frame immediately angles out this way more, whereas we're traditionally seen a 90-degree angle here. This is giving us extra frontage here. Make sure you don't lose the strap. We put that aside. Setup from here is exactly the same as we've always done with the RV tents. We step into the middle of the tent here. We come under here to find the strap with Oztent on it, and we pull this up. Let it pull up gradually. Try and keep it even. And we need to step inside the tent and secure the arms on the sides. Now, as I'm holding the top of the frame up here with one hand, I need to reach across. It could be easy with a second set of hands. And I need to invert these poles backwards. I'm going to do it on both sides, and then there's one extra little Velcro tab that we need to do up on each side, which is just below where this frame is. So as soon as both of these are locked in place, I can let go of the frame at the top. We just need to undo this Velcro strap here and wrap it around the frame. And what that does is two things. Stops this wall from flapping around too much, and it also stops this from inverting and collapsing on us. Do that on both sides. So that's the fast portion of the tent done. You can see it's taking shape pretty quickly. We just pull these across here. Now, it's probably worth noting that if it was windy, you probably want to put a couple of pegs in place before you get the frame up to this point, because that's just sitting there loose at the moment. If the wind was to take that, you can damage the frame. So from here, once I pull this tight across the front, I've got to grab 6 peg points around the base that go through these metal rings, one on each corner, and one that sits slightly in. And if we come to the rear here, now there are 4 spots across the back here that we should peg out. This just lifts this fabric up and away a little bit to create a bit more internal space and stop it from sagging in on the contents inside the tent. Now, I'm going to be a bit lazy today and not set up the guy ropes because it's really calm here today, but always recommend using the guy ropes. There's 4 in total, and they're in their own little pockets here. One here, same on the opposite side there, and also at the front of the tent here, or just on the side at the front. guy rope in here, one on the other side as well. If you put all 4 of those guy ropes in place with the pegs around the base, these tents are really sturdy. So I'd recommend always using those guy ropes. I mean, I've put 6 pegs in around the base, 4 guy ropes, there's 10 pegs in total, and you've got a really sturdy tent. If you want to put the awning up, obviously there's extra, but the next thing I'm going to do is attach the fly sheet. We need to do that up here. Now we've got to zip the fly on at the top of the tent here. Now if you're vertically challenged, it could be easier to do this before you actually extend the whole tent up, and you can actually pack the tent away with the fly attached, so you don't have to do it all the time. Now I can reach over the top, so I'm going to be able to do it. So I've got the fly here. Now the silver side faces upwards, so we just want to unravel the fly and find the starting end of this zip here. So this is going to be the upper side of the tent, upper side of the fly, sorry. This is where the fly sheet starts. So I just sort of need to throw this over the back of the tent here a little. Then I come up to this zipper up here that runs along the top of the tent. I put the fly in place and I do this zip right up along the top of the tent here, and as I go there should be 3 or 4 of these Velcro tabs just to hold this flap in place, and that just protects that water from getting in through that zipper there. So I'll just walk across the front of the tent now. So I'll just zip all the way across as I go, feeling for these Velcro tabs, putting them in place as I go until the zip reaches all the way on the other side, just pulling the fly across as you go. We've reached the other side, Velcro tab in place, and that's the fly attached. What we now need to do is go around and peg the fly sheet in. So we've got 2 guy ropes on each side here for these flaps that sit down the side, and then we've got a flap that comes right across the back here that we need to put an extra 3 guy ropes in so that it sits at the back. So there's actually a little sort of gap in the corner here. So I've got the fly sheet attached and pegged down. Now don't do it up too tight because we need to put these poles in place here. Now there's eyelets that feature on these corners here. This pole goes through the eyelet from underneath there and out the top. We just put that in place there, stretch the fly out so we can see it's probably a little bit tight there. I might just loosen the guy ropes a little bit. I'll do that on the other side, and what that does is create this gap here between the inner tent and the fly, so condensation doesn't rub straight on the inner tent. It also it creates a bit of a sort of an insulation barrier between the sun hitting the fly here and the sun hitting the inner tent to keep it a bit cooler. Next step is to set up the awning that's actually attached to the tent. Okay, to set up the awning at the front of the tent, which is the roll of fabric that we can see rolled up here, we need the extra poles, all but the tarp poles. So we've got 2 spreader poles and 4 awning poles here. We also need some guy ropes, some pegs, and I've got these little caps here too that will make more sense shortly. So we're going to need 1 ridge pole that goes across the middle of the awning, 1 at the front. Our 2.3 meter awning poles are going to go in the middle section, and our 1.9 meter awning poles are going to go at the front here. So next step is to unroll this bit of fabric here. This always needs to be rolled up for pack up. So we undo these 3 tabs here and let this fabric unfurl down the bottom. Now I'm going to put, it would be much easier if you had a second set of hands. This is a big awning that expands right out to about 3.5 meters at the front here. I'll do as best I can by myself, but I need to get the ridge pole in and the awning poles in place through the eyelets that feature both halfway along the awning here and also another one at the end. Now these ridge poles are actually 3 section poles. In case you extend it out and think it's a bit short, there's 1 extension section here, and then you've got another extension section here as well. So they both go out to 3.5 meters, which is how long or how wide the front of the awning is. So just extend them out. Don't worry about them being too tight or exactly in place just yet. We'll tighten them up shortly. So I'm just going to get this second pole in here now. And then I might put a guy rope in before I put the front poles in place. Now this front ridge pole can actually be secured in place with some Velcro tabs that feature up underneath here. So I'm just going to secure this around here. Now don't do it too tightly so that you can allow the pole to slide through it as you set it up, because you might need to adjust that a little. There's one there, there's a second one on the other side here. We can then put the 2 1.9 meter ridge poles in the front. Okay, so this is a little bit awkward with one person, so I've just got this sitting loose here at the moment. The next thing I'm going to do is step in underneath here and extend these ridge poles out so that it's nice and taut across this way, And then I can stand all the ridge poles up in place. We can put the last few guy ropes in. Now, I've just got this sitting loosely here at the moment. If it was windy, this would be difficult. Certainly need a second set of hands. Now, I could get myself 2 extra guy ropes. There's not enough included for this, and put them over the top of here and peg this out as well if I like, to create extra stability. For the most part, all you'd need is 3 guy ropes across the front here though. Now, this is where these little caps come into play. Now, these go over the top of the spigot, so we can put these over here, the same as the 2.3 meter peaked spigot in the middle there. That can sit over there, and then when we put the guy rope over the top, it holds this in place and just minimizes the amount of water that could potentially creep in through here, which would be inside where our side panels would sit if we were using them. So I've got 2 more guy ropes to put across the front here, and then I could finish just tightening the poles into place. I've just adjusted all the poles on the awning at the front here, so they're all nice and taut. This is 1.9 meters here. We've got 2.3 meter pole in the middle there. It's extended across, and this frontage is 3.5 meters across. So we've got this really nice big living space here, a sleeping space at the back, our fly to protect the tent, but it doesn't stop there. Further to that, we've got this tarp extension that we can attach. We don't have to put this on, but this is just another polyester fabric bit of material here with another zipper. 3 poles, we just need our extra guy ropes and 3 more pegs. And this attaches on the front of the awning here. Now, there's 2 zippers on the awning here, which means we can use both this tarp extension and a front wall on the awning here if we like. So we just got to find the zipper on the fly sheet here. So if we go around the edge till here we go, here's the zipper. So the Velcro or fluffy Velcro will face upwards because that's going to marry up with this flap here that's going to seal down over the zipper. And we slide this zipper into this outer zipper here. We could use this one if we like, but if we use this one here furthest away from the tent, it's going to leave that inner one free for extra accessories. We put that in place and we start zipping it across. So you want to lift this up, just make sure it seats right in there before you start it, and it will zip easily. Now, as we come across, make sure that this flap here seals down onto this Velcro tab here. That's going to create that waterproof seal over the zipper. But as we get to the center guy rope here, we'll notice that this is going to be in the way. Now, to use this, we're going to actually have to remove this center guy rope. It's not going to be able to be in place, but we'll have a center guy rope on the tarp extension at the front. So roll this up, take it off. I'm going to be lazy today and just throw it up on the roof. Continue to zip this all the way across. And from here, all we need to do is put 3 of the extendable tarp poles. There's 3 poles that you get in these eyelets that feature 1 on each corner, and then another one halfway across. 3 more guy ropes, and this will extend right out the front. Now, easiest way to do this, the same as we did with the awning there. Put the middle one in first and a guy rope so it just sits loose like this, and then we can put the corner ones in. Once again, if it's windy, certainly easy with a second set of hands, easy with a second set of hands, even if it isn't windy. So I've got all 3 poles in now. I've got that set up really low now. Now you could do that, I suppose, if you wanted, leave it nice and low for a bit of extra protection, or these do actually extend right out to 2.3 meters. And probably the best way to set it up is with a peak. So if I just loosen this guy rope here a little, we can extend this pole up. Now they're 3 section poles, so we've got 1 section here and then another section at the top there to be able to tighten it. My guy rope's just come loose there again. If I now tighten this up, we can see we've created a nice big peak there, and I can do the same with the poles on the corners here, extend them out so they're a little bit higher and adjust it to my liking. That is the Oztent SV-5 Max all set up. Now, 30 seconds for that back bit of the tent. Yes, that's very quick. A little bit longer to do all this extra stuff, but if you take the time to do all that, and remember, this is all included, you get all of this undercover space. This is about 5 meters across the front here, and it comes about 5 meters out from the tent, so you get all this living space and extra space inside to sleep in as well. Look, it would certainly be easy with a second set of hands, but I managed that by myself reasonably easy on a calm day. On a windy day, certainly would want someone else just to help you hold things in place. Now pack up, just as easy, everything in reverse. You might ask, can I leave things attached? I recommend taking the tarp off because it's going to be a bit bulky rolling that up on the front of the tent. Pack that up separately. It's going to be easy to put it back in the bag separately as well. You can leave the fly attached though. You can fold everything up with the fly attached because that tends to just bunch up nice and easy without creating any damage to the frame. So I've got the tarp off. Next step is to take all these poles out of the attached awning. Just be careful as you do it. If it's windy, the wind doesn't take it and twist the poles, so just lower it gradually. I'd say maybe take the poles out, hold on to this as you go, take the second pole out, just lay them on the ground as you go so that nothing gets damaged. And don't forget about these little orange caps that go over the top of your spigots. I almost always forget about them. They end up flying off. They're the easiest thing to lose at the campsite. Okay, now we've always got to roll the awning up for setup. It won't fold up very well if this is dangling loose. So it's a really wide awning on the SV-5 Max. So throw the guy rope over the top and just fold the sides in like this. If you're doing it with 2 people, once again, a whole lot easier with 2 sets of hands. And then roll it like this. It's a little bit awkward, but once you get going and there's a bit of rigidity to it, it's not so bad. So I've got the awning rolled up at the front there, and I just checked the windows inside to make sure those privacy screens are done up as well so they don't get caught up in the frame when it's folded. And the last thing I need to do is come under here and just make sure that this panel over the rear window is rolled up here. There is a stiffener bar in the base of this that sits down the bottom here, so when it's done up it doesn't flap around too much, and the stiffener bar folds a bit or gets in the way of the folding process if you leave it unrolled. So roll that up before you go any further as well. So next steps for us now is if I had the guy ropes set up, which I've been lazy and shortcutted today, I'll take them out and pack them back up in the little pockets there, and I can now unpeg the fly. Now I've got 2 options with the fly. We can take it off and pack it in separately, or we can leave it attached. Leaving it attached makes it a little bit tighter to kind of get back in the bag. I'm going to leave it attached for you today because I've never actually packed it away with the fly attached, so we'll see how easy it is. So all I need to do now is take these poles out, pull the pegs out from the fly, and then we can lower the tent down. One other thing I'll mention now to consider is if it is a windy day, you might want to just leave a few pegs in the base until you've got the tent flat on the ground, just to minimize the chance of wind catching the tent and causing any damage. So it's pretty calm here today, so I'm going to pull them all out. So I've still got the pegs in at the very bottom of the tent here, but I'm just going to pull these 4 out at the back that are lifting this fabric up here. And the other thing we need to do that I forgot to mention before we pack the tent up is make sure that the skylight on the top here is also rolled closed. So I've got this open at the moment. I need to roll this panel down so it's closed so that it sits nice and flat when it's folded. So I pulled the back 2 pegs out. I said it wasn't windy before, the wind's just picked up. So I'm going to leave the front 2 pegs in here because the wind's coming this way just until I've got this lowered down. So to lower this down now, we need to step back inside the tent and loosen those side poles. So we come in the tent, we're going to hold up the top here with one hand and reach across with the other. Once again, if you're vertically challenged, you might need some help to do this. So we need to undo the tabs on each side and then invert this pole back the other way so the tent starts to collapse down. We'll switch hands at the top, undo this tab here, invert that pole as well, and the tent's going to want to fall backwards by itself. So just lower it down so it lowers nice and evenly. Let it sit down nice and flat. So I'm comfortable now pulling these 2 pegs out from the front here because the wind is no longer going to pick the tent up. So from this point, we need to just pull some fabric into the tent to just tidy it up a little bit because we've got all this extra fabric out the back here. So we can see this fabric here is that extra flat that was sitting out the back. We probably just need to step over to the sides now and just tuck the fly sheet in as well, in underneath the frame, so it's not hanging out and going to get caught up anywhere. Same with the guy ropes. If you've been a bit lazy and haven't actually folded them up, just push them inside the tent. And then across to the sides, same thing. Grab this strip of fabric here, just lift the tent a little and just tuck it in down the sides there. So it's probably a good time now to grab the strap ready to do the tent up, and we're going to fold these arms in. So we start with A, so this side here is A, and we fold it in. Now when we do this, don't lift this up too high because it's causing the hinges to twist. Just fold it across nice and flat up against the back edge of the tent there. Try and flatten this as you go. Keep it as a nice neat triangle. And then side B here, fold it in once again, don't lift it. Just fold it as flat as you can across to the center of the tent, and we end up with this triangle here. That then folds across the top of the tent. We can then grab our strap and do this up. And now when you put this into the bag, it's a bit easier to sort of put the bag over the tent and then roll the tent over onto the bag after that, rather than trying to lift the whole tent into the bag. And this is where we see how tightly it all fits back in. Once again, remembering that the fly is attached. It's actually looking pretty good so far. So it's actually fitting in pretty easily. There's tons of space there, so I'll just tuck the accessories in. The poles are going to take up a bit of room. You can tuck them down the side, put the other bits in around the side, and that's the tent packed away. I actually expected more of a wrestle getting that back in than that, so they have allowed a reasonable amount of space inside this bag to fit the Oztent SV-5 Max tent back inside when you finish with it, and that's with the fly still attached. That is how to set up and pack away the latest and greatest SV-5 Max tent from Oztent. Offers extra space than the traditional RVs and the same stability and reliability. You can check these out online at snowies.com.au, where you'll find them at our lowest prices every day. Got any questions? Let us know down in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel for all of our latest and greatest info, or check out some other Oztent videos like this one down here.